Hey everyone, long time no see. Obviously I'm not off on my previously explained summer adventures. No carry-way hiking for me this summer, no gallivanting around the UK. I'm home in Portland, Oregon, and as you can see, I finally started putting up the Portugal vlogs from the Portugal trip that my dad and I took after I finished the Camino de Santiago last year. So, if you are new here, hi, I'm Lindsay. Last summer, from June 26th until August 5th, I hiked the Camino de Santiago. I hiked the Frances route. I started in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. I walked all the way to Santiago, which took me 38 days, including a rest day. And then I hiked the Finisterre-Camino. Is it bone time? He wants to be involved in the video. And then I hiked the Finisterre-Camino starting in Say, and hiked from Say to Finisterre and Finisterre-Muxia. So I hiked about 850 kilometers of the Camino de Santiago last year. It was amazing, it was transformative, I loved every minute of it, and I cannot wait to do another long distance walk like that, which is why I was going to walk the Carryway this summer, which is a 200 or so mile walk in coastal Ireland, but I'm really hoping that next summer I'm able to do that. So this video is all about answering your questions about the Camino. I've got my Camino t-shirt on. I got this in Osabrero. When I got to the top, there was a little gift store before I moved on for the day. I've got all your questions on my computer here. I did bring some gear and things like that. So let's just get started. The first question is, did you use an app or a travel book to plan your way and find out info on the surrounding area while you were traveling? So, before I left, I read from cover to cover, probably 2 or 3 times, this village to village guide of the Camino de Santiago. It also has the Finisterre route. It was really helpful for me. It's got maps. It just gave me a sense of places to stay, the terrain, how many kilometers for each of the suggested stages. It even tells you the difficulty and how much is paved, how much is unpaved, what albergues there will be, how much elevation you're going up and down. So this was super helpful for me before I left for the Camino. I did not bring it on the Camino. What I brought on the Camino was the Buen Camino app. It is an incredible app. It's a few bucks, I think. And before you leave, you can download all of the maps so that you only need GPS to operate it. You do not need cell service. I didn't have any cell service the whole time I was on the Camino. I used Wi-Fi when I was in cafes and at albergues, and then I just used the GPS service on the app. The app is incredible. First of all, it'll show you with a little green arrow where you are. So if you get lost or you're having a hard time finding the trail or you think you've gotten off trail, which I pretty frequently get lost when I'm out hiking and walking, it was super helpful to help me just navigate, especially in the big cities, or if I was on an albergue, at an albergue that was a little bit off the trail, it helped me navigate back on the trail in the mornings, especially when it was dark out. It also has this amazing feature where you can plan your stages. So you can plan as many days as you plan on hiking the Camino, and you can see how many kilometers you're going to go, which towns you're going to go to. I used it every single day, multiple times a day. It also tells you about different churches you can go to, other sites of interest, when things are open, prices of things, phone numbers of things if you need phone numbers. I thought it was the best app. It was amazing, and I would definitely recommend it. Next question. What movie making and video editing software app do you use? I use iMovie, but I'm searching for a higher functioning movie maker. I keep everything very basic and simple. I mostly make these videos for my own memories and also to share my journey. But I'm not trying to win any kind of video awards or become a full-time YouTuber or anything like that. So I just use my Google Pixel. That's my phone. That's what I'm filming on right now. And I use an app called Power Director, which again, it's like $5. I've used it for years, and you just upload your clips. You can put music in there. It's very easy to use. I don't know if it's higher functioning. I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for, but that's what I use, and it works for me. Okay, somebody also asked about making videos because they want to do a daily vlog, although they said they're starting April 3rd. Andrea, I'm so sorry, you probably didn't start the Camino on April 3rd, but we're all hoping for long walks next year, right? She's asking about, or they're asking about using a tripod. Yes, I did use a little tripod. This is a little gecko pod. It's super lightweight. I will say that I did not use this very often, and I would not call it a necessary piece of gear, but it is very lightweight. It just hung out in an outer pocket of my backpack. What I did use a lot more often was this selfie stick. Now, most of the time, to be honest, I just held my phone out in front of my face, and that's how I did my vlogging. But I did use this selfie stick. This is, I think this is an Anchor. Yeah, this is an Anchor selfie stick. It's got Bluetooth connection, but this is really great because it extends super long, and I found that when I was trying to get Vista shots with me in it, and a lot of the time, you know, I'm walking by myself, so I don't have someone else who can do this for me, I found this to be incredibly useful. So yeah, loved this. All right, next question. What's the one thing you know now after finishing the Camino that you wish you knew before you started? I mean, part of the joy of the Camino and the growth that you go through on the Camino is just discovering those things along the way. I'm not sure how useful or even how effective it would be for me to have known some of those things before, but I would say the one thing that I was kind of nervous about that I really didn't need to be nervous about is getting a bed each day. People were so worried about that, and they got me all worried about that. I did end up booking most of my beds a day or two before because I have anxiety and I didn't want that creeping into my experience. And also, I am really slow. I take the entire day to get from point A to point B. And most of that is because I am a slow walker. I like to stop a lot. I like to take pictures and videos and take my socks and shoes off and rest. And I really enjoy resting. I just think resting is important. But I also just want to be out on the trail the whole day. I didn't really feel the need to race to the albergue and get there in the early afternoon and then do what? I don't know. So I did that just for my own peace of mind, but honestly, there was never a problem finding a bed. There were many days where I just went off script. I stayed at some other place depending on who I was walking with that day, and it was no problem. So I kind of wish I had known not to freak out about it as much. Now, in terms of things that I learned on the Camino that I didn't know before, I mean, maybe I sort of knew some of these things about myself, but they were definitely reaffirmed on the Camino. I learned that I preferred the non-paved trails, not only for the sake of my body, because all the pavement was incredibly brutal on my feet and my shins, but also I just loved being in the mountains. I loved being in the meseta. I loved being in the places where I felt like I was just purely in nature. Not that I didn't appreciate what the cities and towns had to offer me, but there was just something so freeing and beautiful about just being out in nature. And so now I know that when I look for long distance hikes in the future, that I want to look for hikes that allow me to mostly be in nature, which is why the Carry Way was appealing to me, but not have to go backpacking and carry all that weight, which is just really sort of out of the question for me because of my hip surgery. And also, I just don't really like setting up a tent every single night and doing all that stuff. I like having a hostel to go to. That's just kind of my speed and style of doing those kinds of walks. So yeah, I loved where we were just out in nature and on the dirt trail. I've traveled around the world by myself before. I've done many solo trips. I've done solo hikes. I've done things solo. I'm a single person. I don't have any kids. I'm in my mid-30s. Most of the people my age are married and have kids, at least of my friends. And so I've gotten used to doing things on my own. I live alone, all of those things. But I kind of came to a new level of appreciation of alone time and reflection time, but also realized that I enjoy sharing those experiences with other people. Not to the point where I'm with someone constantly. I very much appreciated the hours and days where I was by myself, but I also absolutely loved having a Camino family and meeting people and just knowing that others were there to share in the laughter and the pain and the joy. And so I learned that when I do plan trips in the future, that I want to have a balance of doing things on my own and sharing those experiences with other people. Let's see. Somebody said, I think I will need 40 days to reach Santiago. I'm fine with that. Yeah, that sounds about right. And I would say, I mean, I did it in 38 with one rest day, and that felt fast to me. Another thing that I learned about myself is if it wasn't so much pavement walking, 20 plus kilometers a day probably wouldn't have been as bad, but 20 kilometers is about my maximum, I think. I did a lot of more than 20 kilometer days. I did a number of 25 to 30 kilometer days, and those were really pushing my limits. And I like the physical challenge because it's very rewarding, but my body was in a lot of pain. I'm not gonna lie. That didn't diminish my experience whatsoever, and I knew that going in. It's a lot to ask of your body. But I think, like when I was planning the carryway, even though I'm not going there now, well, hopefully next year, I was looking at around the 15 to 20 kilometers per day, and that feels kind of like the sweet spot. 10 kilometers on a really slow kind of rest day. Somebody asked me to review my gear. What worked, what you wish you'd left behind, what you would have done differently. I'm still working on my gear list and trying to get the weight down. So I brought some gear. Let me just share with you the gear that I absolutely loved and will 100% bring on another long distance walk. The first are my hiking poles. These are just Watauga poles. They've got core candles. They are really comfortable. Oh, one's missing a tip. I mean, these are just invaluable. You have to have hiking poles. Well, I have to have hiking poles. I use these every single day. One thing I will implore you to do is learn how to use hiking poles correctly. So, I mean, there are so many YouTube videos about this you can look up, but spend the time to learn how to do it before you leave. But your arm comes up like this, your wrist rests on the strap so that you very lightly grip the pole. I had used these hiking poles for years before I did the Camino, and I was not using them correctly. And once I learned how to use them correctly, wow, it was a game changer. So definitely these. The other piece of gear that I loved having was this ultra lightweight hiking umbrella. I used this for sun for many days, especially the first couple of weeks when it was scorching hot. I also used it for rain. I didn't bring any poncho. I used this with my rain jacket. It's just a North Face yellow rain jacket. And I used a very lightweight Velcro rain skirt. And that combination was perfect. It kept me warm, it kept me dry, but I didn't get overheated. I really hate ponchos. I get sweaty in them, and then I'm just as wet as if I had just worn nothing, but now I'm hot. So it worked really well for me, and this is so lightweight that you can hold it for hours and your arm will not get tired. Also, a buff. I have hiked with buffs for years. They are just one of the most important pieces of gear. They protect your head, they keep your sweat off your face, you can dunk them in water, and then you have a cold piece of headgear. They are just amazing. If there's a lot of sand, it can protect your face from sand. This is a Camino buff that I actually purchased. Where did I purchase this? I can picture the town, and I know exactly what day it was, as I was walking with the Irish girls. I don't remember the name of the town. But anyways, this is great. The shirt that I hiked in every single day was also amazing. This is just the Columbia Omni shade. It's got a little bit of pilling, but I wore this every single day. Most days I rolled up the sleeves a bit, but this was really awesome sun protection, super lightweight, dried very fast, which is super important for sweating, as well as washing it each night. I knew that if I washed it, even if it wasn't sunny, even if all I could do was hang it on my bunk, that it would be mostly dry by the next day. Somebody asked about something you wished you brought but didn't. Okay, I'll go back to that. I will say something I didn't bring but wish I did, but I was able to get it in Spain easily, is Compeed. And this stuff I had used before, way back when I used to do these long distance walks for breast cancer awareness, and I didn't think to bring it, but I absolutely use this every single day. And it just kept, after the first few days, my feet were getting so hot and dry that this just keeps your feet nice and lubricated. Oh, also my socks. Hold on, let me go get them. I don't have them here. I'll be back. Okay, so I wore these Injinji toe socks every single day. I had 2 pairs. I switched out of them like 2 or 3 times throughout the course of the day. I find these to be so incredibly comfortable. I love the toes. 41 days of walking, 850 kilometers. I got 1 blister. That's it. And it was on the edge of my foot. And it was because my sock and shoe just weren't quite right, and it was really hot, and I allowed too much time to pass between taking my socks and shoes off and taking care of my feet, and I got 1 blister, and I put a little piece of lamb's wool on it, which I highly recommend that you bring, and a little piece of Leuko tape on it, and I left it there for like 2 weeks, and then the blister went away, and it never hurt me or bothered me again. So those are all the gear pieces that I really loved. I also brought, I was looking in my medical cabinet and I couldn't find it, but I brought a tiny little tiger ball for rolling out my muscles and fascia, which you saw in my vlogs. So yeah, I would recommend that as well. I would say things that I wish that I brought that I wish I didn't to cut back weight. I probably didn't need a 3rd pair of socks, and I probably didn't need a 2nd pair of leggings. I could have probably just had the 1 pair of leggings, and then I brought shorts and a skirt, and I really didn't need that. The sarong towel thing that I brought, which was great, could and did totally work as a dress for when I needed to do laundry. So I don't think I needed those things. I would say just really you just need 1 outfit a day. That's it. But most things I use, I didn't really have any extraneous items. Somebody asked, did you lose weight or stay the same on the Camino? I don't think I lost any weight. I've been trying to lose weight this year, and I've lost about 20 pounds, but that's only because I had, over the years, been creeping out of the healthy weight range, but I don't think I lost any weight on the Camino. I think I definitely gained muscle, but there's a lot of cafes and pastry eating and snack eating, and yeah, I don't think I lost any weight on the Camino. What were your favorite albergues? Okay, I wrote a list of 10. The first one is the Roncesvalles Municipal Albergue, right there at the that monastery or whatever it is. That was a great first experience. They put you in groups for the communal meal. I liked how they had the 4 beds in kind of like their own cubby, plenty of bathrooms and chargers, and even though it was blazing hot outside, it was somehow very cool in that place because of all of the stone walls. I also loved Acá y Allá. This is in Urdanitz. It's not really a city or town that a lot of people stop in. It's a little bit off stage, but I really loved it. It made for a shorter day. The guy who runs it is an amazing chef and made a delicious communal meal. You can also walk right down to the river, and so my friend and I, Vera, we went down to the river and just had an awesome afternoon in the river. I really loved the Wonderful Hostel and Cafe in Logroño. That place had I think it had air conditioning. I don't know. It was cool in that place. It had those bunks that have their own curtains, so you get a lot of privacy. It had a nice kitchen to cook in. It was just a nice place. I also love the Hornillos Meeting Point, which is in Hornillos. This had also a great communal meal. It had an awesome, like, backyard hangout, and it's right in the middle of the Meseta. That's actually where I first met Emma, because she started in... where did she start? Logroño? And then walked to Hornillos? Is that right? All of the towns are blending together. I really loved Albergue Rosalia in Castro Jerez. There are no bunks in this albergue, so you all get your own bed on the floor, which is really nice. They also have a really nice communal meal. I just like the vibe of that place. I really liked Albergue La Morena in Ladigos. This is another Meseta place, and they had just some nice kind of hangout areas, a nice cafe. That's where the funny lettuce incident happened with Emma, where the server brought us a big plate of lettuce and we had no idea what it was for. I know that's probably not funny to anyone else, but it's hilarious to me. I also loved Bercianos 1900, which was in Bercianos del Real Camino. They had an amazing dog named Moscow, awesome sort of hangout spaces and cafe, and yeah, it was just great. And then the Stone Boat, which is an albergue that's got, it's not really an albergue, it's a guest house in Rabanal del Camino, but it is just beautiful, and the woman who runs it is amazing. So awesome. Delicious food too. And then Albergue do Brasil and Vega de Valcarce. I just liked the communal family vibe of that place. Also an awesome communal meal. And then finally, I really liked Linar do Rei in Linares. Linares is a little bit after Osabrero, and most people hike up to Osabrero and then they stay in Osabrero. But I would encourage you, keep walking past Osabrero and stay in Linares. This is a beautiful new hostel, albergue. It has clean, amazing rooms. It has a beautiful view in the mountains, and there were 2 other people there while I was there. I really liked it. So those are the favorite albergues. Somebody asked, aside from the flight cost, how much did you roughly spend on accommodation and food costs on the Camino? Gosh, it's really hard to say. I would say about 30 to 50 euros a day. The municipal albergues are about 10 euros a night. The private albergues, which I stayed in mostly because those are the ones that you can actually book ahead, but they still have the communal meals, you know, bunk beds, dorms, all of that. Those were about 15 to 20 euros a night. And then food just really depends on what you're buying. Are you eating in restaurants? I got a lot of things from grocery stores. I would just get a little salad kit and a yogurt. But I would say for food, plus, you know, cafe stops. I'm not a coffee drinker, but a lot of people stop for coffee multiple times a day. I would say 20 euros a day. So yeah, 30 to 50 on average. And then if you splurge and stay somewhere nice, which I did a few times, those, you know, that's going to be a lot more. And then finally, what is the one best memory which stands out on the Camino? Gosh, there are so many amazing memories that I have of the Camino, but I'm going to mention 2. Oh gosh, but now of course so many are flooding. Flooding. I made the love letter to the Camino with a bunch of highlights and favorite moments and memories, so you can watch that video. Which, by the way, if you're new here, I made daily vlogs of my Camino walk last year, so you can just look on my channel and you can watch a video every day of me walking all 850-ish kilometers. But I would say one memory that will always stick with me is when I came up on that hill above Astorga and I started crying. Because it was just such an emotional, powerful, soulful moment. And I had been hiking by myself pretty much most of that day. And I don't just mean by myself like I wasn't with my Camino family. I mean by myself, like nobody else was anywhere near me on the trail. And I had been doing that for days, and there was just something, I think that was the day when I recognized that being on the Camino makes me feel free. And I just was overcome with emotion. I will just never forget that view. I will never forget coming up to that guy playing his guitar on the bench, and just all the feelings I had right on that spot. So that's definitely one that stands out. And then, I mean, I'll never forget my Camino family. I mean, I'm really hoping to hike with the Irish girls, Emma, Gail, and Patricia. Hopefully, girls, if you're watching, we can do the Carry Way together next summer, like we had planned to do this summer. But with thinking about my Camino family, I will never forget just us using sweeties to encourage each other to just get through the next kilometer, and we would have a sweetie stop every kilometer, and I just loved that so much. Just that camaraderie was so great. So there are so many memories, but those are just a couple that just instantly come to mind when I think about my Camino experience. I can't remember if I shared with you, I got 2 Camino tattoos. I love tattoos, so I wanted to get a tattoo to commemorate the Camino. I couldn't think of just one, so I got 2. I got the Camino shell on my arm, and then I'm gonna try to turn this, and then I got a sunflower and 2 poppies on this arm, because I will always think of the Camino when I see sunflowers and poppies. They were all over the Camino last summer, and I just absolutely love those flowers. And so yeah, I got these 2 to commemorate my time on the Camino. So I think those were all your questions. If you have any other questions, please put them down below and I will respond to them. If you are thinking about doing the Camino, of course, you have to make sure you're safe, and coronavirus is not a threat. So please don't be trying to go into Spain right now unless you already live there, because, you know, we need to all keep each other safe. But if you are thinking about doing it when it is safe, just do it. It's an amazing experience. And even if you've never traveled around the world by yourself, I would still say go for it. I think even though I'm a pretty independent and brave and courageous woman, there were a few things I was kind of nervous about traveling by myself, particularly just walking by myself and having no one around in case I needed help. Also, getting up early in the morning and walking in the dark, I was nervous to do that by myself. And I did all those things, and I just built up my courage and my independence even more than it already was going in. So don't let that deter you if you don't have someone to go with you. And I think the beauty of the Camino is this personal journey that you go through. You get to pick your own pace, you get to meet people when it's right, say goodbye to people when it's right, say hello to them again when it's right, and just work on that internal journey, which is just such a powerful, edifying thing. I mean, honestly, because I can't really travel this summer, I'm still on a high from the Camino. I mean, I'm really lucky that I did it last year before coronavirus happened. But it will buoy you and lift you up and fill you up for a long time afterwards. Although I am very much looking forward to my next long distance walk, because I am now, I think, addicted. So yeah, what's ahead on this channel. I'm not going on any major epic trips anytime soon, hopefully next summer, but I'm not really sure. I am doing some local Oregon and Washington State trips because I live really far north in Oregon, and Portland and Washington State is just over the border. I might do a few little vlogs from some hikes and things. I'm not really sure, so stay tuned for that. And I will also keep making the Portugal vlogs. I'm not sure how many there will be. My dad and I were there for 10 days. I'll probably make one for each like main city we went to, so there might be 3 or 4 of them. I'm not really sure, but stay tuned for those as well. I just want to say thank you so much to everybody for your incredibly warm, generous wishes. You always left me such positive comments on my videos. I'm glad that I've inspired some of you to go and walk the Camino on your own. If you make a daily vlog or any kind of videos about the Camino, please link them down below because I would love to follow along on your journey and support you and encourage you. So yeah, I hope you all are doing well. Take care of yourselves. Get out in nature, even if you can't leave your town, and stay safe. I will see you all in a video soon. Bye.